Hi, I'm Femi OK and you're in the stream. Today, with a controversial Narenda Modi set to take his seat as Prime Minister of India, what's in store for the world's largest democracy? Well, the world's largest election had so much impact on social media. So I'm just curious, Malika Bilal, digital producer of the stream, have people all gone home now? They're relaxing, they have nothing more to talk about?
Hardly. This is India we're talking about.
Okay.
So people are talking about it. I'm most interested in hearing what our community has to say about it. So if you're there at home, wherever you are, tweet us with #AJStream. But before you do, have a listen to what these 4 Indian residents, citizens, had to tell us about Modi's victory.
Narendra Modi is a man with a Midas touch. He is proved to be a game changer and is a ray of hope for every Indian.
Narendra Modi and his crew of criminals, and I say this because 186 of them are fighting criminal cases across the country in various courts, keep India away from communal violence.
Never before in this country has a Prime Minister been elected so emphatically while being so unrepresentative of the minorities.
I have full faith that Modi will do better than Rahul Gandhi, and he did well for Gujarat, so he's proved himself earlier and I'm hoping he's going to prove himself again.
Bharatiya Janata Party or BJP's victory brought an end to decades of the National Congress Party's rule in India. It also set the stage for the controversial Narendra Modi to become the country's next Prime Minister. In a real-life rags-to-riches tale, Modi was a tea server in his early life and overcame social barriers to become the leading political figure he is today. He's widely admired for overseeing economic development in the state of Gujarat, where he's been Chief Minister since 2001. It's the kind of economic progress his supporters hope he'll bring to the rest of India. Modi's critics point to his suspected role in the 2002 religious riots in Gujarat, where more than 1,000 mostly Muslims were killed. And some are also concerned about the rights of minorities under his rule. So, what is next for India with its new Prime Minister? To explore these questions, we're joined by Harsh Gupta. He's a public policy columnist and financial consultant based in Singapore. From New Delhi, Shaila Rashid is a free speech activist and a graduate student. Kopal Doshi is a digital strategist and writer in Mumbai, and Ashwini Mishra is a hip-hop and social justice activist also in Mumbai. Great to have you all here in the stream. Kopal,
thank you for having us.
It's great to have you. So, Kopal, who did you vote for?
I'm from Gujarat, so take a wild guess.
Okay, you're smiling, you're happy. What is it about Prime Minister-elect Modi that you feel captured the public's imagination? What made him so popular?
I think it gets encapsulated in one word, which is hope. I think it was missing for the longest time in the citizens of our country, especially in the last 10 years. And that's one thing that he has given to people, aspirations, the right to actually hope for a better future. And that's pretty much what everybody was looking for. And
did he just say, I'm bringing you hope? Did he do something in particular where people were thinking, oh, now we're hopeful? What is it that he did in this campaign that made you feel hopeful?
He didn't just say that he was, like, bringing us stuff. He gave us proof. For the past 15 years, he's been working in Gujarat, and people might say that the Gujarat model is flawed and the data is not acceptable, or it's not valid, or it's not based on any particular proof, but it did work. It did lead to results, and we've seen it happening. So obviously, we are hoping that it might get replicated on the national scale as well. Okay. That's the hope he brings.
So Ashwini is actually, I can see him at the side of my eye, he's holding his head in his hand like this. He's not looking that happy. I just want to get a sense for our international community, what is it about your Prime Minister-elect that seemed to galvanise the electorate, made them vote for him?
I think one of the things that struck me is when we talk about selling hope, Modi was selling dope. He wasn't really selling hope. Because a lot of the campaign propaganda, a lot of the communication is built on a lot of lies. Now, if you talk about development in Gujarat, I've lived in Gujarat for 2 years. I studied there. I studied there in 2007, and that development is for upper class Hindus. it's not for everyone. I mean, if you go to Johapura, it's not, the development hasn't spread there. I mean, when I was in Gujarat, that was 5 years after 2002. Those pamphlets with those propaganda about overpopulation of Muslims and whatnot were still being distributed. So, like, I went there from Calcutta, and Calcutta has a very different culture. And the first thing that hit me, it was a culture shock. This was a very bigoted place. I mean, no offense, but, and that's the feel I got. That's the feel I've always had about this man. And if you get into what he's spoken about in his campaign, I mean, a lot of it is built on lies. A lot of it is built on a lot of lies. I followed the campaign for BJP in Chhattisgarh very closely. I was there, and for that one seat, they had a budget of 5 crores. Then that was double the size of the budget of the next guy.
What's
so
5
with that much?
Ashwini, what's 5 crores?
Oh, sorry, 5 crores. Yeah.
Could I take you all out for dinner with 5 crores? What is it? How much is that?
Oh, you could take us out to dinner for a long time. For
okay.
So
all right.
Yes. Millions of dollars is what I mean, and
wow.
that's just for one seat in one constituency, not even a major one. Chhattisgarh is a state in India, and this was for the Buster seat. So that's the kind of money they're playing with. So with that kind of money, you buy media, you buy op-eds, you buy. There's this idea of paid news. So you buy over people. I mean, bending is trending. Everyone from MJ Akbar to all sorts of people are suddenly singing BJP's praises. So a lot of that is built on lies. Like, the Tea Party just came to power in India. That's what happened for our American viewers. So,
and the Tea Party meaning, of course, the conservative grouping in the U.S. Well, there is someone online, Ashwini, who doesn't agree with you. This is Pranjwal on Twitter. He says the BJP offered strong, vibrant, and dialogue-driven leadership with Mr. Modi. He goes on to say this is a future PM who truly deserves it. But Shayla, on the other hand, there is someone who picked up on what Ashwini said about the money. Akash says the anti-incumbency factor, wanting anyone but Congress, the Congress party, combined with Modi's efficient and expensive election campaign and the corporate backing, helped him win. What do you think about that corporate backing?
See, one, as I said, it's a very, very dangerous trend for a democracy like India, which claims to uphold civil liberties, which claims to uphold human rights. At least it's very dangerous. Number one. Second thing, I mean, development has been taken as a, it has been taken as a given when people speak in the media about it. It hasn't really been questioned. There are no stories from media. So, for example, on the HDI, the Human Development Index, Gujarat actually ranks 11th. It's not the top state. And 80% of children and 60% of pregnant women are anemic in Gujarat. And the dropout rate in schools is very high. There's actually been a decline in the ranking of Gujarat. And that no one talks about. Education, health, nutrition, all of these factors are very worrying.
Shayla, so what you're saying was that this state of Gujarat, where everybody's saying, well, look what Prime Minister-elect Modi did in Gujarat, look how amazing it is, you're basically calling that out.
Yeah, and actually, I'm not quoting these statistics out of thin air. There has actually been there have been several books, and there have been several critically acclaimed researchers. For example, Professor Atul Sood has written a book called Poverty Amidst Prosperity, which actually talks about it, which busts the whole myth of Gujarat. When people say he has performed, what has he performed? I mean, he has secured, as Ashwini rightly pointed out, he has secured rights for the corporates. He has given them land at dirt cheap rates. And workers, the condition of workers is one of the worst in Gujarat. And that no one is taking into account. I mean, who is this development for? This development is for corporates. I mean, see, if someone is giving if someone is pumping millions of dollars into his election campaign, I expect him to work for that person, for his funder, not for me. Why would Modi work for me? And
Shayla, take a breath for a moment, because I hear exactly where you're coming from, but I haven't heard where Hirsch is coming from. He's a financial consultant, so we're talking about the economy here. We're talking about Gujarat, how well it's doing, and that's where a lot of people who are supporting Modi are saying, well, look what he's done for this state. Hirsch?
I mean, I heard Shaila's and Ashwini's points. I'm also from Calcutta originally, and it's just interesting if you compare the situation of Muslims in West Bengal, the state which has Calcutta, and Gujarat. Gujarat actually has the lowest poverty rate for Muslims amongst all the large states in India at 7%. This is from the Sachar Committee report. It's not a BJP government numbers. It has the lowest one of the lowest in urban poverty amongst Muslims, much lower than Maharashtra, much lower than West Bengal, much lower than Bihar, Jharkhand, where else, whatever the states were quoted. Therefore, speaking of facts, it has over proportion representation for Muslims and civil servants in government jobs, as again compared to West Bengal, which is known to be very so-called
secular. So I'm just an ordinary Indian listening to this. Sell Modi to me a little bit more than that. Just quoting stats, it's like, what difference is it going to make now going forward?
He is a politician who fundamentally believes in minimum government and maximum governance. So what is being misinterpreted as welfare for corporates is actually an increase towards economic freedom, which first and foremost helps the little guy, the small entrepreneur, the rural poor, so that they can open their own businesses and do well in their own lives. This is the first time, this is a paradigm shift from the socialist left ruled policies in the 70s, 80s. In the 90s, they were a bit diluted, but then again, we had a big welfare movement towards building roads that would not last the next monsoon in rural India, and that kind of spending, and the public has decidedly rejected that, and it wants more opportunity and not handouts.
Right.
And Modi represents that more than anything else.
Let me just check in with our community, Malika.
Well, people are talking about the economy because for a lot of people that is the one big win, and this is the reason that many of them voted for Modi. So on Facebook, Dhruv Goyal says if you look at his track record in the state of Gujarat, he's delivered on many electoral promises. If we look at improvement in socioeconomic indicators, his state outperforms most others in India. But Kopal, on the other hand, we got this tweet from Nakul, and he says his economic policies, speaking of Modi, have been about privatization, and they've been about allocating lands to corporates. There's that word again, that corporate word. The poor have suffered as a result, Nicole says. So among the people that you're talking to, what are they saying about the little people, really, the poor people that Nicole says who are suffering?
So the basic problem the basic argument that people have is that this election was paid for by corporates. But there were 4 elections before this that he won in Gujarat, which were not paid for by corporates. They were actually, he was voted in by the little people, and he actually did something which is why he was voted in over and over again. So why is it that people are questioning the same judgment now just because it happened on a national scale? We already know that the model works, which is why people believe in it. I don't see why you're supposed to just say, hey, the corporates paid for this one and not the rest of them. That's just...
Kopal, I don't know how long you have been following his election campaigns or his speeches, but he has been making hate speeches for over a decade now. He has been an RSS activist. And if all the people who call themselves liberal, young, I remember having a conversation with Harsh about 2 years back on Twitter or something, where he was attacking me on Section 377, which is a section in our, our Indian Penal Code, which criminalizes homosexual relations, right? And he was asking this question of me because I am Muslim. And what about BJP's stance on, say, Section 377, which criminalizes homosexual relationships? This whole argument of left, liberal, young India. It's not. It's linked. No. It's linked.
I'll tell you why.
It's linked because it's a question of civil liberties.
All right, so Shayla, allow Kopal to respond to you, and then you can actually come back to her. Kopal, go ahead.
I absolutely agree with you in terms of Section 377 not being a fair section for a large community, and I don't believe in BJP's policies overall, but I support the man. I think that's the stance that most of the country has taken. It's not supporting a particular party. They're saying we believe in the man, and I think that's fair enough. I don't have to support all of his policies, and I don't. But when you talk about hate speeches, I don't think... So I'm from Gujarat, and I know the people there are not the kind of people who go around saying, hey, let's hate a particular religion. I think they are more the kind of people who say, hey, I got a BRCS in my city and my travel to work became easier. I think I'm going to vote for this man. And that is what has happened.
I'm sorry, but a huge section of the population is still invisible.
Can I respond since my name was taken? So firstly, on the point of the BJP not supporting decriminalization of homosexuality, I agree with Shella, and I think it's wrong. I think it should be repealed. I think it should be decriminalized. I did not ask for this question.
How likely is that? But guess, how likely? Guess, take a pause. Everybody, take a pause for a moment. How likely is that to happen now with Prime Minister-elect Modi just about to take office? How likely is it?
Not very likely.
Okay, we should be honest here.
I think it's not very likely, but I don't think it was likely under the last government as well. For example,
I think I would disagree. I think I would disagree. The best thing.
So my point is, there's at the end of the day, we are voters and we have a choice amongst 2 or 3 people. One of those was Modi from BJP, the other was Rahul Gandhi from Congress, and third was, let's say, a minor parties. So we chose amongst that. To say that because there's an extreme position of one of the parties that we ended up supporting is a bit neither here nor there. For example, Shaila supports separatists in Kashmir. For example, Gilani, and he has all kinds of wrong positions on homosexuality. That does not mean that I believe that she supports every position that Gilani supports.
All right, so guests, Harsh, take a pause. Guests, take a pause for a moment. Everybody just take a pause for a moment. I want to actually inject Prime Minister-elect Modi's words into the conversation, and then I'll hand it all back to you, Shaila. Hold on one second. The new government, have a look on my laptop here, is dedicated to the poor, millions of youth, mothers and daughters who are striving for their respect and honour. This government is for them. So, Ashwini, what I'm hearing in terms of people pushing back against this new Prime Minister of India is that he's not going to be taking care of minorities. As a Hindu nationalist, that's 80% of India, roughly, that is Hindu. So, are there other concerns about being a minority that we should be taking into account as India goes forward?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
Sure, that was the world's longest question. So, thank you, Ashwini.
Can I answer that?
Yes, go ahead, Shaila.
Yeah.
Ashwini, you can just catch up later.
Yeah, sure.
See, I actually don't think it's just about minorities. I mean, he has made hate speeches against Dalits. I mean, he doesn't talk to, let's say, someone like Kopal. He wouldn't talk to her in the same way as he would
against Dalits. He's not made any.
Oh, he has. No, he has actually. No. He has written a book in which he says that Dalits are doing a spiritual job, and he actually justifies the caste system. He has the national, the disabled. Harsh, please listen to me and let me finish. The disabled rights activists have actually given a statement against him, and feminists have gone out and they have taken out a rally in Varanasi against him.
Because
and this
that is the final
all over India.
I think that is one at a time, guess one at a time. I love the passion, but I can't hear you all. So Harsh wanted to come back. Allow Harsh to come back. Shaila, hold tight for a moment. Harsh, go ahead.
I mean, on the question of caste, actually, speaking of the big picture, this is analogous to Barack Obama winning the presidency in the United States. It's the first time a non-upper caste Prime Minister has come in India who has his own entire majority.
Okay.
And it's a huge social political revolution in that sense. Just because it's not talked about often, that does not mean that one can make casual charges in the other direction that he's actually a casteist. Whereas he's completely removed the upper caste monopoly, which is the reality on the ground. Coming to feminists and activists,
I'd like to, Harsh.
No.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Harsh, I'd like to just respond to what you just said. I think it's beautiful, the analogy you just made between Obama and Modi, because Obama may be black, but his policies are white supremacist. And I think the same way Modi...
Okay, actually, there's going to be a lot of people going to challenge that, but carry on.
Okay. But Modi,
I don't agree on that.
Let me just finish my point. But Modi
may
be OBC, but his policies are extremely Brahminical. His speeches, if you hear them, is extremely Brahminical.
All right, so Ashwini, for those of us who are not up to date with the caste system, explain what you mean by that.
So, in the Hindu faith, per se, society is broken into different varnas.
Yes, like different classes.
As per your role.
And the Brahmins are right at the very top, right?
Yeah, the Brahmins are at the top. Who are the scholars, and basically Brahminical oppression is a huge force in India. Like it dominates economics, it dominates politics. There's still a lot of caste violence that happens in this country. So there's issues of representation. If this year alone there were 3 caste massacres where the Brahmins who were involved, they were let off. They were acquitted by court. So yeah, there are some major issues with caste.
All right, guests, I'm just going to ask you to put everything on pause for a moment. I'm going to bring back the community because they can't yell as loud as you can, but we do want them in the conversation.
They're keeping up with this conversation. It is changing so very fast. So on the question of minority rights, that is something a lot of them want to talk about. Samir Khan writes in, Modi may win another term after 5 years, years, but it will be hard to erase the Gujarat riots from the public memory of this generation. And those are riots that happened nearly 10 years ago. Now, on that, there's also a video comment. Shayla, I'd like you to have a listen to this, and this is on that same topic of minority rights and what that will mean for the country.
If BJP enters the Indian Parliament with 272 plus members and does not have a single Muslim member, which means a population segment of nearly 15% has not found a voice in the Indian Parliament, and that's a worry.
So Shayla, he says the ruling party that came in, that swept in with more than 272 votes, not a single member Muslim. Does that worry you as a Muslim resident of India?
I would like to answer this in a slightly different way. See, even if there were all of the people elected from BJP were Muslims, as you know, as Ashwini rightly pointed out, I mean, see, West Bengal, for example, has a woman chief minister, but that doesn't mean that she is inherently feminist, right? She's catering to a constituency of patriarchal male, a male-dominated society, right? And so is Modi. Even if all the members were Muslims, I would not have any hopes from the party, because he has said that he is a Hindu nationalist. He has said this very clearly. And I don't know why we should forget 2002 riots. He's not asking us to forget 2002 riots. He has not stopped making hate speeches against Muslims. Hatred against Muslims is at the center of his campaign. It's not a thing of the past. I mean, the things that he says about Bangladeshi immigrants who are Muslims vis-a-vis Pakistani immigrants who are Hindus. I mean, I believe that India should give asylum to everyone. India should have given asylum to Edward Snowden as well.
Absolutely.
All right, so what, I'm just going to take advantage of that tiny pause. I almost missed that tiny pause. Just to share with you this little clip. This is Narendra Modi talking to Parliament, talking about how big the responsibility is of what he's going to do or try to do in India. There's a moment where I think the responsibility is weighing down very heavily on him, and he's talking about India and the BJP being like his mother. Gets very emotional, stops talking for a moment. So just Harsh, very quickly, I'm going to go around all of you, but very quickly, do you feel your Prime Minister-elect, is he up to the task of what India needs next?
I think he's up to the task. I think it's an enormous task and expectations have to be managed. I think part of his job, whether his supporters fully accept or not, is to somewhat assure all segments of society that he's the Prime Minister of everybody.
Okay.
But I think more than rhetoric, that would just take a few number of years, and his record will speak for himself.
All right.
Because given the division, any words will not heal the divide at this point in time.
I understand. Shayla, why am I even asking you this question? But I'm going to ask it anyway. So Prime Minister Modi, he hasn't even started day one of his job yet. How do you think he's going to do?
I'll give you an example. 6 Muslim youth were falsely implicated in a blast which was known as the Akshardham blast case, and the Supreme Court has, on the same day that the election results were out, the Supreme Court actually slammed the erstwhile Home Minister, which was Narendra Modi, for falsely implicating, for non-application of mine, for falsely
Shayla, we have less than a minute left. I'm going to ask you to make your point in one sentence. How do you think he's going to do, your new Prime Minister-elect?
I think he's going to continue with his campaign of giving corporates free hand over workers. He's going to exploit workers, women, lower castes, basically the lower classes, and he's just going to favor the upper classes. And then that's it.
So we have a positive take, we have a negative take, and we have more opinions from you, our audience. We're going to take you online to stream.aljazeera.com, to be continued in just a moment. I do have time though to tell you about the next show. A webcam might seem harmless, but for some, it's a ticket into online child sex tourism. On the next AJ stream, we look at how the internet is changing child sex abuse and if authorities are managing to keep up. But for now, I will see you online at stream.aljazeera.com. Tweet us and be part of the conversation. #AJStream. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Hello again, this is the post show, the online post show at The Stream. We're talking about what's next for India under its new Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Ashwini, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Very good. I don't want to have to repeat my extremely long questions again. Okay, here we go. On my laptop from the Hindustan Times, we have BJP to promote movies rich in Indian cultural values. I'm not even sure what that means. Can you unpack that for me?
Yeah. What that basically means is they want Bollywood, they want the films to push a certain idea of Indian culture, which is regressive, which is homophobic, which is patriarchal, which is sexist.
I feel like you're editorializing here. Just a tiny bit.
Just a little bit.
Just a tad.
So a more conservative view of the world, and more conservative view of how men and women need to be in their respective roles. So yeah, that would be it.
See, if we saw that headline for other countries around the world, we would think that would be quite strange. But so, how powerful are the movies and a way of maybe shaping the way people think in India? Actually,
I think the Bollywood is fairly influential in India.
Yeah.
I'll just give you one example. Over the years, eve teasing has been glorified in Hindi films.
Yeah.
And
we have done this. We have done this topic on the stream, so a lot of our viewers do understand it. But eve teasing is when a guy will kind of slightly harass women. Basically, it's just sexual harassment, right? It's just it's actually a cute name for something that's kind of horrible.
It's a really polite word for something that's really messed up.
Yes.
So it's sexual harassment,
yes.
And Bollywood has glorified that over the years. And you can see it on the streets. You can see them repeat the same dialogues, sing the same songs. So Bollywood has been very effective,
right?
In its rhetoric. And often the state has used Bollywood over the years. Films like Border have pushed an idea of the military and an idea of militarization and glorifying the army, which have been very effective.
Right. So this isn't just a trivial cultural story. This is a big deal that BJP will be maybe promoting and even funding movies. It does have some resonance there. Malika.
Harsh, I actually want to go to you with something that our community brought up that we haven't talked about in detail yet. Tarek on Twitter says, we forget that the Uniform Civil Code BJP has up its sleeve. If it's implemented, the cultural impact won't be of the favorable kind. Now, to explain what he means by that, he says the BJP manifesto reads, the best of every religion will be taken. Who's to judge what's good in which religion? So I have on my screen here, this is the manifesto in question. And the party's talking about is in the very last page of the manifesto, the Uniform Civil Code, Article 44. The BJP says that it's to make sure that gender equality exists in India. But Harsh, what are your views on this? And is it as controversial as the person who tweeted us said it was?
I support the Uniform Civil Code. The Uniform Civil Code exists in the US, it exists in the UK, it exists in Australia. It basically means that regarding marriage, divorce, inheritance, there should be the same laws for all citizens, irrespective of religion. And when it says best of all religion, it means basically we'll try to take the progressive elements from every religion. For example, the Hindu and the Christian personal laws in India are already more or less reformed mostly, though there is still scope. Unfortunately, when it comes to Muslim personal law, men are allowed to marry 4 wives, they can divorce just verbally. Till very recently.
Well, that's unfortunate for you, but probably not for the Muslims that are advocating for it, correct?
Yeah, no, but the issue is that in a secular state, the laws should be the same. So if you want to have 4 spouses for everybody, do it irrespective of religion or gender, that's perfectly fine. If you wanted to have 1, have it for everybody. Because the individual should be the unit of state policy, and that is a very definition of true secularism and liberalism.
Okay.
And that extends to full rights for homosexuals as well.
I find it fascinating that you think Hindu laws are reformed.
Let's just say circumcision is a very favorable. It's scientifically it has been proved that circumcision is very useful and it guards you against several STDs. So would it be acceptable for you, Harsh, if circumcision were made compulsory on every Indian man, whether Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, whoever?
I think it is an absolutely bizarre comparison to have physical activity compared with laws which exist in the US, Australia, UK. Once again, this is not something out of the world. This exists in all the democracies of this world. We are just saying that the same marriage, the same divorce, same inheritance laws should be there for all Indians. What the laws should be, that can be debated. But the conservative elements in the Muslim society, and there are many, many liberal female Muslims, for example, who also support the UCC. They are just concerned that why is the BJP?
Yeah, and there are BJP feminists. There are BJP feminists like Madhu Kishore who support dowry.
Yeah, that's wrong. So I don't support that. I don't see where's the debate in that
wrong.
case.
Then how do you decide what is right and what is wrong? Because your party believes that
because
377 is right.
because
Your
nobody's
party believes that dowry is right.
Because bringing back the dowry is not in the manifesto. But
so Shayla and Harsh, as compelling as this conversation is, I am going to ask you to tweet each other about that. You only have 140 characters, so I know you can go backwards and forwards. Very selfishly for me, I wanted at the end of this program, I said to Malika, I would love it at the end of this program to get a really good sense of Prime Minister-elect Modi, what his personality is like. So far, I can hear you saying how great he is or how not great he is, how good he's going to be for India or not for India. I would love to get a little picture of his personality. Let me start with Kopal first of all. Kopal, am I right in thinking that you actually met Modi? Okay,
yeah,
what's he like?
So I met him on the second Vibrant Gujarat Summit. I worked on that for a bit, so I was able to interact with him, and well, he kind of takes your breath away, and not in like the movie star kind of way.
Yeah, in what way? Because I just see granddad. I look at a man who's like a senior, elder, a granddad. How does he take your breath away?
That's why I said not in the movie star way. It's just a person who knows. So he's extremely focused, and that kind of comes across in every action that he takes. And you can't help but admire the fact that he's so extremely dedicated and he knows exactly where he wants to go.
All right, so dedicated, he takes your breath away because what, he's smart or what?
He's just extremely decisive. He knows exactly what he wants to do. It's
all right.
For
okay.
A 2-year-old, it's just like, wow.
All right, Ashwini is laughing. Let me see why he's laughing. Help me get this better picture. Us as the international audience. I think just Kopal is just a fan, okay? So, okay. But for Ashwini, give me a better sense of what your future Prime Minister is like as a personality.
Okay, I'll give you 2 lines on Modi, okay? Modi is the king. He'll have you arrested before dinner. He can do anything except do a real interview. So that's Modi. Okay, like that's him. Like if I ever release my album again, I'm probably going to hire the PR agency Modi has, because they rock. They are amazing. He has the best PR agency in the world. So yeah.
So you're saying he's got great PR, but what's the man behind the PR? Have you seen behind the PR? Can you?
I think if I can just add something here. I think one more thing that he brings to the table is a very Gujarati sense of humor.
What's that? What's a Gujarati sense of humor?
So if you've interacted with Gujaratis, you would know that they have a very sarcastic, subtle sense of humor which comes across in everything they do. And it's what is seen in Modi's speeches also, the kind of jokes he makes, the kind of incidents he talks about, and it kind of connects to people on a very basic level, you know. It's something you both can laugh about together. It's just 2 pals having a good laugh about something.
Wow.
I think really connects.
I think on the personality aspect, what I really admire about this guy, and I think which also worries some of his detractors, is how ambitious he is, and how open he is about his ambitions. He's the first leading politician in India who's wanted the job and asked for it. Traditionally, the Gandhi-Nehru dynasty would say, no, we are reluctant, we must do it if you really tell us we have to do it. And in that sense, he said, I will set targets and I will give you annual and 5-year reports. And if I fail, I fail. So, you know, I think just talking about the PR agency is being a bit of a sore, loser.
Yeah, I like that insight.
I think it's being a bit of a sore, I mean, you don't win 180 million votes. And the NDA in general for 40% of the votes in India by just PR. You do that because people fundamentally believe in what you stand for, and they're giving you a chance right now.
All right. So Shayla, I don't want to go off the track here and you tell me another story, because we actually don't have time. But can you give us an insight into Modi's personality, just very briefly? So I'm getting this great picture from all 4 of you, but I haven't got your little insight yet.
He is an authoritarian. He's essentially authoritarian and megalomaniac. I mean, the kind of illusions that he has about himself, that Ganga Ma has called him to Banaras and he has been ordained by God to rule over the country. That's very dangerous. That's very worrying.
Wow. Okay, so this is why we have a very big country with so many different perspectives. It's been wonderful dipping into all of them. I know you have more to say. This is why we have Twitter. Yay! Go online. Because I know you're not finished yet, but we almost are.
But you know, Modi supporters on Twitter are extremely abusive. I mean, from rape threats to sexual tweets.
Oh yeah.
And now we start another conversation. Yes, we are taking it online. You've just been listening to Harsh Gupta, Shayla Rashid, Kapil Doshi, Ashwini Mishra. Thank you so much. That was enjoyable.
Thank you.
I need to go and lie down, but first, Malika Bilal, what have you got on your laptop?
Well, I'll give you the last two views. They're just as divided as the people in our hangout were. Right. Kiran says, speaking of Modi, he takes charge in style, and he circulates this picture of Modi bowing before he entered Parliament on Monday. On the other hand, Mayanak says, I'm one of the more skeptical of his abilities and potential, but I'm hopeful since at this point we can't do anything more.
See, I'm happy because now I've got a better picture. A little schizophrenic, takes your breath away. Right. He doesn't, he's branding whatever, but okay, we started the conversation. We will take it online. In the meantime, let me tell you about the next show. A webcam might seem harmless for some, but it's also a ticket into online child sex tourism. On the next AJ stream, we look at how the internet is changing child sexual abuse and if authorities are managing to keep up with it. Until the next time, thanks for watching.